Hello there, and welcome back to the Chaps Guide, the channel where we talk about men's grooming, style and self-development, and a whole host of other tips for men of all ages and of all nationalities. Now today I'd like to talk about a subject under the topic of self-improvement, and that's confidence, because it's such a fragile thing and it can have such an enormous impact on the way that we carry out our lives. If we're talking about style, it can impact on the way that we dress and the way that we interact with other people. So over my life journey, which has been 50 years in the making now, I've learned some things and picked up some tips that I'd like to share with you today. And here they are. Well, the first thing I'd like to share is it's important to stop lying to yourself about confidence. You don't have to be super hyper confident all the time. It's perfectly normal to have peaks and troughs when it comes to your confidence. Do you know some of the most outwardly confident people that I know are actually nervous wrecks from time to time? It's simply part of any person's life cycle, and it's to be expected. And if you suddenly feel that you're lacking in confidence and you don't feel like you can take on the world as you normally do, well, don't lie to yourself. Don't think that's something that's terribly wrong. It's just a little bit of a dip, a trough in your confidence. And of course, the good thing about a trough is there's a peak likely to come up next. So stick with it. You'll soon overcome it, but be prepared for it. Now, my second tip is to try something new. And the reason I say that is because most of us lead these very orderly, I'd use the word soft lives, where everything is laid out for us. Life is relatively easy and straightforward. And as a consequence of that, when things happen which are slightly outside the normal, it throws off our comfort zone and we have difficulty coping with it. It knocks your confidence and you feel, as if it's really impacted upon your way of life. A way to be prepared for those little blows to your confidence is to put yourself outside your comfort zone from time to time. Do things which are out of your ordinary, whether that's skydiving, bungee jumping, going to meet new people by using a different pub, or joining a social group or a sports group, or going to church. Even if you're without religion yourself, learn something, put yourself outside that comfort box that you're in, and you will strengthen your own confidence. It's like any muscle. To get bigger and stronger, you have to work it. So if you want to have more confidence in your normal life, put yourself outside your box. Your comfort level will be increased and improved by that experience. My third tip is to consciously declutter your life. Now, most of us build up baggage as we go through our life's journey, be that metaphorically or physically. And we all know the feeling of when we've done something we've been putting off for a long time, be that clearing out the garage or sifting through your wardrobe for those clothes that you haven't worn for a long time. And you know that almost sense of euphoria that comes when you've got that job out of the way that you've been dreading for a long time. And that's something which can really boost your confidence and propel you on to the next obstacle or task in your life, feeling that little bit more elated, that little bit stronger. Why don't you try decluttering those things in your life which you feel are holding you back, stopping you from getting those positive sensations? It could be, you want to apply for a new job. It could be you just want to clear out the garage. Everybody's life is different. Everybody's life will have different decluttering opportunities that will make you feel better. But to feel better, declutter your life. Now, my fourth tip follows very closely on the coattails of that third one, and that's to address the thing that's been bugging you in your life. Now, we've all got something that is sitting there waiting for us to deal with. It could be you want to stop smoking. It could be you want to lose weight. It could be you want to ask your boss for a raise or pursue another career opportunity. And all of these things are just hanging there waiting for it to happen. You'll feel so much better when you grasp the nettle and deal with it. Now, for me, I'll tell you a bit about my own personal journey. About 6 or 7 years ago, over the course of my sort of early 40s, I'd gained a load of weight, and I realised I was feeling uncomfortable about it. I knew I was getting a bit chubbier because I saw photographs, and I realised that my clothes were getting tighter. I didn't feel very good about myself. My confidence in appearing and speaking in front of other people had taken a positive dip. And it came to a head one day when I saw a photograph of myself on stage receiving an award for something I'd done professionally, and I realised, and I'm going to use the simplest terms, I realised I looked fat. I really hated the way I looked, and that was the straw which broke the camel's back for me. It made me grasp the opportunity to overcome that issue, which for me was simply losing weight. And after that, my confidence went shooting back up, and I felt fantastic about myself, and I've managed to continue that momentum for many years because I addressed that issue. It's possible for anybody to do that. You need to recognize the issue, confront it, and take positive steps. And before you know it, you'll have beaten that demon. Now, my fifth tip is to help somebody else. Now, a fantastic way to boost the way that you feel about yourself, and let's be honest, that is actually your self-confidence, is to help somebody that you don't have to help, but it's a decision you have made to do something positive in somebody else's life. It can be the simplest thing, like carrying the shopping bags of an older person out to the car in the supermarket. It could be the time that you spend with your nephew teaching him mathematics, or it could be anything of that nature. It could be, within the work group that you're the person who spontaneously buys the coffees for no reason for anybody else. Just a positive way of boosting other people up. You'll be amazed how this makes you feel when you help somebody else when you don't have to. Now, in recent times, that's been characterized as the act of kindness movement, or the law of reciprocity. If you do something pleasant and good for somebody else, good things tend to happen to you. Call it karma, call it whatever you like, but be that person in the group who's known as being the nice guy because they help people. That will do wonders for your self-confidence, and that will flutter itself all around your life in the great things that will happen back to you. Now, my sixth tip is use your nose. And I'll explain what I mean by that. When it comes to boosting your self-confidence, the little things count. And it can be something as simple as wearing your lucky underpants when you're going to a job interview, or wearing your lucky watch, or using a fragrance which lifts your mood and makes you feel a little bit better about yourself. So if you're sort of feeling a little bit down, do those little things that incrementally boost your confidence. Now, I'm a big fan of using colognes to boost my mood, because I find that anything which engages the senses has a huge impact on the way I feel about myself and the way I feel about projecting myself to other people. So, if I'm going to do a public appearance, or I'm going to speak to people in a formal environment, I often choose certain aftershaves that I know are going to make me feel very positive about myself. So simply by using your nose, or any of the senses which work for you, to make yourself feel that bit stronger, that bit more confident, hey, what have you got to lose? Give it a try. Now, the seventh tip for me is about goal setting, because we all feel good when we achieve goals in life, whether it's losing weight, or achieving a promotion in work, or it could be anything. But setting those goals are a really good step in the way to boosting your confidence. And I'll tell you a little story about a really good goal-setting experience for me that happened only this year. Now, I'm not a runner. I'm not a natural runner, and I'll only run generally if I'm being chased by a tiger. But in the last few years, part of the whole keep fit and healthy regime, I've taken to a bit of running. My wife is somebody who's run marathons, so I feel an obligation to make a bit more effort. And I would never have believed in a million years that I could have reached a half marathon level of running. So for 2020, I set myself the goal that I was going to run a half marathon. Not necessarily a competitive one, but I wanted to run a half marathon distance. And it was an important goal for me because I turned 50 in February of 2020, so I wanted to achieve it in this year, which, could be a confidence sapping milestone. You know, the half century, you know without a shadow of a doubt, you're more than halfway towards the finish line when you reach your 50th year, and I wanted to do something which would boost me up to show that I've still got the energy and the power to do things like running a half marathon. So I set myself that goal, incrementally moving up a set of goals as I went along, and actually on the 27th of February this year, just a few days after I turned 50, I achieved that goal of running a half marathon in 2 hours, which for me would have been unthinkable 6 months before that. And I have to say, I felt fantastic about myself. My mood, my confidence was elated, and I'll never forget that experience. Plus, there were a myriad of health benefits because I'd taken my body to its furthest extremity. Now, I don't intend going to a full marathon distance. I'm satisfied with having reached that half marathon. But set yourself a goal, however big or small it is in your life, and you will be sure to feel so much better when you've achieved it, and then you can leverage that in other aspects of your life as well. So, set goals to boost your confidence. Now, my tip number 8 is take a risk. Go on a trip to somewhere you've never been before. Because I don't know if it's the same for you, but when I've been on some of the more significant trips of my life, I always come back feeling greatly elated and enhanced by the experience, which carries forward into other elements of my life. And the same can be said for anybody else. So if you are feeling a little bit down in the mouth and you haven't been feeling as confident as you could, try something new. It doesn't have to mean traveling to New Zealand. It can be quite simply trying a new sport or doing something different. It can be the simplest things by reading a book, or it can be the more complex things. So always think about taking a risk. A good example that it worked for me, I was 48 until I first went skiing. I never thought I could do it. It was something which I was somewhat afraid about, I'll be perfectly honest, and I was afraid of looking a fool, looking stupid, falling over, and all of those things. And I absolutely dreaded the thought of going skiing because my wife's a good skier, my young son is a good skier, and I always felt I would hold people back and be a shambles when I was on the slopes. But I bit the bullet. With the encouragement of my family, I went skiing at the age of 48, and I have to say I thoroughly enjoyed it. I came back from that trip not having had a conversion to skiing. I'm not a good skier, but what I did was embrace that situation. I took a risk. I did fall over, I did look stupid, but I lived with it. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be. So for you to boost your confidence, try that thing you've been putting off, or you think you'd like, but you've been stopped attempting it because you're afraid that you'd look silly or you wouldn't be able to do it. How do you know? Give it a try. If it works out for you, hey, your confidence will be flying high, and you can use that in other aspects of your life too. Now, my 9th tip is to take the time to really talk to people that you encounter. Now, we run through this life of ours at a high pace, skimming along with people that we meet as we encounter each other on this same journey. And how often do you actually sit down and listen to the people that we're engaged with? It could be co-workers, it could be people that we meet, taxi drivers, whoever it may be that we're sharing the same space and time with. We all just say the same things all the time, and we don't take on board that other person's story, because everybody has a story which can benefit each other. So when you're next finding yourself sat next to somebody in work who you don't see very often, instead of just asking them how they are, and then when they give you a response, you just fire back what you're going to say and off you go in your separate ways. Actively listen to what they say and inquire more about that conversation. Get more information out of them, because they've got a story to tell, and what they tell you can improve your life. They'll feel elated by the fact that somebody they regularly don't speak to has shown an interest in their life, and you will have learned from that data that you've gathered from that person. So take the time to really connect with the people that you pass through in life. You never know, the story they tell you could have a profound effect on the rest of your life. And my final tip is one which I've been doing for a number of years now, and that is keep a journal or a diary or whatever you'd like to call it, but keep a record of your life. That way, when you do have highs and lows in your confidence, you'll be able to look at your journal and you'll be able to see, is there a cause? Why is it that, I'm feeling a little bit down at the moment? My confidence is low. Or at this period of my life, I felt unstoppable. What happened before that to make me feel like that? By keeping a journal, you are effectively keeping a professional progress of your life, which can be milestones to improve your confidence generally. And it can be a very cathartic experience, keeping a track of the goals that you set, the people that you meet and talk to, all of the other things that we've just talked about. By keeping a journal, you're able to keep all of your thoughts, all of your progress in one place, and then leverage that to improve your confidence, perhaps when you need it. Before you have a big job interview, or you go on a date with somebody that you've been looking forward to spending some time with. Look things that have made you feel good in the past and do them before that experience so that your confidence is high and you've got the best chance of success. So there we go. Top 10 tips to improve performance in your life based on things that have worked in mine. I hope you've enjoyed this self-development conversation today with me here at the Chaps Guide. If you have, please do me the good service of giving us a thumbs up. And while you're there, click that subscribe button as well so you won't miss any future content. And at the same time, interact with me in the comment section below. Let me know if you enjoy the self-development side of the themes that we talk about here in the Chaps Guide, and perhaps we'll do some more. So until the next time, please take care, look stylish, sharp, with boosted confidence, and I'll see you again very soon. Until then, take care.